The Encore 209x50 muzzleloading pistol in Africa. William Hovey Smith, 2015. I'm the author of Extreme Muzzleloading and also hunting big and small game with muzzleloading pistols. And here I am with my first exposure of the Encore very nearly on the Nail Ranch in Texas. And this is a hog I shot with it, and that's Ken French from Thompson Center. And that hog weighed over 350 pounds. Outfitted with a smooth bore barrel, I took this bobcat and also a deer. And here is my African warthog that I took with the same pistol on my African hunt in 2005. And here are the teeth from that, but it was a pretty good one. And here is an impala that I got but shot very poorly, and you'll see how and why in a bit. And here is a blue wildebeest that I took with the same pistol as a follow-up finishing shot. Here I am loading up. Pistols are a little unhandy to load because you can't rest them on the ground very easily. And right now what I'm doing is seating the Thompson Center maxi ball. I've used the same load all the way through. 100 grains of pelletized powder and a 370 grain maxi ball.
It really is a nice old guy. How you can see between this and the sow is he's got 4 sets of warts. He's got this big one on the side of his head, and then he has this smaller one on his nose. This one's primarily to help defend him, you know, when they're fighting. It's a form of protection. Now the sows don't have this one. They only have one on the side of the head, but it's much smaller than this. So a really old boar, you know, normally you can judge with the size of his warts as well. And this is perfect. You got him, nice shot.
You know, that must be what, 2.5 inches
of wart?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least. At least. Tusks on this one is a good 12 inches, 11, 12 inches. Once they pull, there's about another 2 inches inside.
Right.
So it's a really nice tusk. Well, all in all, I think you did well. It's the biggest one we've seen.
This is really too dry to stalk, particularly with a range-limited weapon here. So if I'm going to shoot between 50 and 30 yards, best to have the game come to me than me try to sneak up on it.
No, that's delicious.
Here we're actually starting to stalk some impala, but I'll actually take it with the Encore pistol instead of the slug shotgun. And here you see the animal, and you see the difficult shot I have. Now the fact is I shoot directly behind the shoulder, except that gives a very shallow penetrating shot and does not go through both lungs. Matter of fact, it barely catches a little bit of one. You'll notice we're coming up, we're looking for blood, and indeed we find it. The bullet went exactly where I pointed the gun, but unfortunately it did not make an immediately fatal hit. John is pointing up there. He said, yeah, he saw it run over in that direction, and you see the blood. Oh, yeah, this is sort of disappointing. I should have aimed much further back on the animal, considering the way the animal was situated. Well, you'll see what happens in just a bit. I shot this impala, and it is a nice, mature impala with my handgun. But unfortunately, I made a bad shot. I solidly hit the shoulder, but the way the animal was standing, I shot it at a shallow angle, and the bullet merely penetrated the shoulder and did not go through the animal and hit in the vitals. Thanks to John, the tracker here, we managed to find a blood trail and recover fresh blood. And hound dogs, right here, they found the impala and killed it. So that's the story of this beastie. The pistol did fine, just needed to put the bullet in the right place. Ernst, do you have something to say about the impala or what it is?
You've pretty much said it already. But just once again, we're in the Lowveld region of Limpopo province, South Africa, and we've got a very nice impala for this area. They typically go 18, 19 inches is good. This thing is probably 21. It's really nice for this area. It's one of the best we've seen since you've been hunting impala. And yeah, we've been very lucky. I think without the dogs we would have struggled. And well, the rest is history. The impala's here. And I think we're very fortunate to find him.
Indeed. What are the corrugations here? Are these typical of the species? And
yeah, that's typical of the species. Some people would say, you know, each ring represents a year, but it's not really true. Because they all pretty much, you know, get a certain amount of rings and then they stop.
Right.
And the tips keep on growing. But yeah, it's very typical shape. This one's point towards one another a little bit. So I think he probably...
Some are more spread this way.
Well, this guy would have probably opened up in another year or so. He's in his prime. But not a very old animal, in his prime, but a nice, beautiful animal. He was by himself, so he's not a herd animal or anything like that. But if we had left him another year, he probably would have flared out a bit more, and that's it. So he's reached the maximum of his growth.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. Another successful beasting. And thanks to you, John, too. And thanks to hound dogs who have already left us.
Amazing how tough they are. You know, that's what a lot of people call them poor man's buffalo. But now a bull like that, you know, that a wildebeest especially, that you walk up that's wounded but not dead yet, they are very renowned for jumping up and then coming straight at you. You know, when you're just hunting them, they're not really dangerous. But once you get them like this, you've got to be very careful, because a lot of people have been tossed and charged by
Well,
wounded
I'm sure
animals.
they're powerful enough to do some good.
I mean, you've got 3 shots in the vital areas there. And look at him, he's only just expiring now.
Well, this is a blue wildebeest, the last of the 5 critters that I came here to take. And a very nice wildebeest it is. It's a large old animal, been tossed out of the herd, past maturity, past breeding. Indeed, a good trophy. Tough though. It took 2 close range shots, both barrels of this, and a finishing shot with the pistol to kill it. It didn't run. I hit the spine on the first shot, and the ball had enough momentum apparently to break it down, although it was still struggling, so I gave it the second barrel. Then with this muzzleloader empty, I finished it off with the pistol, which had a load in it. Ernst, do you want to come and tell us about it a little bit?
I think you've pretty much covered the hunt. I can just tell you a little bit more about this particular animal. Like you said, he's a real nice old animal. He's exceptionally thick, very heavy around the bases, which if you're interested in scoring for Safari Club will measure a lot. Then he's got a nice drop to it, very good spread. He's a nice wildebeest all in all. It's the blue wildebeest. We get 2 species in South Africa. We have the blue wildebeest and the black wildebeest.
Well, I gather one is blue or somewhat blue, and one is black. He looks, well, what's the
correct name is actually brindled. Brindled gnu. This is the brindled gnu. We've just, I think, just folk named it blue wildebeest for some reason. But the big difference between the two, the black wildebeest is quite a bit smaller in body. He has a white tail. We can see this one's got a distinctly black tail.
Right.
Now the black wildebeest has got the white tail. His horns are significantly different, whereby he has a great mass of horn here, and then the stem of the horn goes forward and up. So
almost like a muskox in a sense.
Very similar, but so a total different configuration to this animal. And obviously this one's quite a bit bigger, as you can see.
What does it weigh, do you think?
Geez, Hovey, I would say 800 pounds, 850 pounds maybe.
Besides extreme muzzleloading, I have other outdoor books, including Backyard Deer Hunting, Converting Deer to Dinner for Pennies per Pound, and an 8-book series on muzzleloading guns, including hunting big and small game with muzzleloading pistols. I also have a new series of business books in the Profit series, which include ideas for new businesses, and what follows is a little blurb about that book and about me. The load I use with 2 of Hodgson's 50-grain 777 pellets and a 370-grain TC Maxi Ball. Now this load penetrates better than the 44 Magnum. For more information on Spear Safari's activities, you can go to their website, www.spearsafari.com. For information on my books, blogs, and videos, you can go to my website, www.hoviesmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.